Hey, I'm Zapper, the Immortal 3 Yapper. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you've watched tens, if not hundreds of aiming and movement guides and still struggle to reach a level of consistency that you're happy with. Lucky for you, I created a super easy routine that you can follow that gets results pretty quickly. It legit only takes like 10 to 15 minutes a day. And for reference, I'm ranked pretty high on Voltaic aim training benchmarks, if you don't know what those are. They are basically just a bunch of aim lab scenarios that you can go play in order to get a rank based upon how good your aim is. With these aiming fundamentals, I was able to get movement aiming down in just a couple of days.
One enemy remaining. Your tactics failed.
I honestly don't know how learning works and all that, but if you have similar scores to mine, you could likely replicate these results pretty quickly. Even after playing Valorant for over 3,000 hours, I had still struggled with the same exact thing the entire time. I finally figured it out after the longest time, and I only figured it out because I discovered a few minute details about movement aiming that a lot of people usually overlook. Despite how much is overlooked though, it quite possibly plays the biggest role as to whether or not someone really masters movement aiming or continues to struggle. Don't worry though, I created a list for you. That way you can remember each pitfall easily. There are two main dangers to watch out for when learning movement aiming. The first, your movement affects your crosshair. This means if you're practicing your aim while standing still, you are effectively not preparing yourself for what you will need to do in deathmatch and ranked. And in the simple 10 to 15 minute routine that's coming later in this video, I show you guys the exact steps you'll need to take in order to master movement aiming easily. Instead, you need to start paying more attention to how your movement affects your crosshair. That way, when aiming, you are not fighting your movement. At the end of the day, you're going to want your movement and aim to work together. Here's an example as to what doing this correctly versus incorrectly would look like. Just pay close attention to how the crosshair is moving in each use case. I think it's pretty clear which option is more consistent here. The second pitfall, aiming while moving is fundamentally different than when standing still. The reason for this is because your tempo changes drastically. By tempo, I mean the rate at which you can fire your shots. When standing still, you can shoot way faster because you don't need to worry about inaccurate bullets you might get while moving. If you came from other games where movement doesn't make your bullets inaccurate, this is often the pitfall that gets you the most. If you want to aim while moving effectively, you first need to understand the speed at which you should be changing directions during a gunfight. You can't slow down this speed just to give yourself more time to line up the shot. Doing this will result in you getting insta-killed by that enemy Reyna that just seems to aim lock your head every round. You know what I'm talking about when you low-key report someone for cheats, just in case, because you're getting shafted too bad. Simply put, you first need a good tempo for your movement so you're a hard target. Then need to sync up your aim to that tempo. You can only hit accurate shots when not moving because of this. You need your crosshair on the target by the time you stop moving. That way when the movement does stop, you can shoot instantly. This was a major problem for me because while I did learn the timing for when to click, my crosshair adjustments were lacking behind. This is because I was making the final adjustment onto the target after my movement stopped. So I would basically end up shooting before doing a micro correction onto the target. Enough yapping. I'm gonna teach you the 10 to 15 minute routine that gets me insane results. It's literally just 3 steps, rinse and repeat it before each game of competitive you play for the optimal results. Step 1. Go into the range, make sure movement is disabled, and then turn on practice bots. On this step, I want you to work on moving sporadically, and only shooting when your bullets will go straight. It's important that you try to land headshots here while maintaining a fairly quick tempo with your movement. Here's an example of what this looks like in practice. It's also good to do this same training from back here as well, for practicing hitting smaller targets. I usually only choose one of them to do in each training session. That way I can keep my sessions quick and easy. Obviously you can do both if you want to. This first step usually takes anywhere from 60 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on how long you feel like warming up for. Step 2. On the second step, I want you to first turn off the practice bots, then turn on medium difficulty for the bots. During this step, I try to keep my movement just as sporadic as it was in step 1. The key difference here is that the bot will pop up and disappear in a short time. This adds extra difficulty from step 1 because now you need to quickly react, aim, stop moving, and shoot, all in the time it takes for the bot to spawn and despawn. It's really good practice for learning how to aim and move in unison quickly, because any small mistake results in you missing the bot or not shooting it in time before it despawns. Step 3. Go into deathmatch and do the same thing again. Similar to step 2, this step adds a layer of difficulty. Not only will people show up from unexpected angles, they will also be moving around and shooting back. This adds a lot of pressure and makes the task more difficult, which is actually good for our progress, so don't worry. Just like in the other two steps, you want to maintain good movement with good tempo and make sure your aim keeps up with that tempo. Your aiming should already be done by the time you stop moving, that way you can just click after you stop. It doesn't mean you have to have your crosshair on target way before you stop. It just means you need to be ready to shoot by the time you stop moving. So sometimes this means quickly adjusting your crosshair faster than you normally do in order to compensate for how far off target you are. This speed at which you adjust your crosshair is also proportional to how much longer you have until you stop moving again.
Fall down. Opponents killed. Dominating.
All in all, step 3 combines the first two steps and adds in target movement, plus a bit of pressure from enemies shooting back at you. These 3 steps literally only take 10 to 15 minutes to do, and if you do them before each ranked game you play, you will find movement aiming to be much easier. Not only is it a good warm-up, over time you will get better and better at it, until it's second nature. This is the point at which people start fawning over how amazing your aim is. Little do they know, all you had to do is put a little bit more work into training your movement aiming. If you found this guide helpful in any way, I make tons of educational Valorant videos just like it. And it means the world to me when I see that my guides are helping y'all out. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.